So we believe that before you can create a healthy body, you really need to get your mindset right. You need to have a really healthy mind. So between myself and my business partner, we've got a lot of expertise in coaching psychology, HR management, training and facilitation, and I'm also a yoga teacher. So we combine about 30 years of experience in these fields, and we're really excited for the journey that we've had so far, but also for the journey and discoveries that are yet to come. So we hope that our connections with you will kind of go beyond this evening, and you can be part of Thriving Minds moving forward. So I've been a yoga teacher for the past 6 years, and before starting Thriving Minds, my career was in human resources. So I've got an undergrad in psychology and a master's in coaching psychology. So I'm really passionate about everyone living to their potential and, quite simply, everybody being happy in their lives. So my focus is generally on concepts around sports psychology and positive psychology. So in this session, I want to share with you a model that I've put together on setting really solid goals with your clients. So this next slide you can see represents the screen that you should all have in front of you if you're dialing in from a computer. So I just want to draw your attention to a couple of little icons that you can see there. So firstly, you can see that all attendees are in listener only mode, because we've got so many people dialed in that we'd like to keep it like this for the duration of the webinar and use the chat box below to interact. So what makes a webinar fun and exciting is hearing from you and getting that interaction. So in the little chat box, if you can see that down the side of your computer, if you could all just type hi or say something, just send a comment through so that I know that you're there, that it's all working okay. Okay, we've got some comments through. Okay, thank you. Some nice little greetings there. So at any time, if you've got any questions during the webinar, you can use the chat box. So there may be times throughout the webinar when I might draw on one or two of you to help build the learnings through examples. So if I do this, I'll be asking for volunteers. So no pressure, but if you want to be a volunteer, you can let me know through the chat box. And I'll then take you off mute. And when I do, everyone else will remain muted. So when I finish, I'm going to stay on the line for a few minutes for any questions that I don't get around to during the sessions itself. So if there's something that you're asking that I haven't responded to, then I will be writing it down and we'll get through to it at the end. You also notice that there's a little hand. So this little hand on your screen is to ask a question. So you can use that icon as well. So can everybody see that? Can everyone just press on their little hand? Yep, okay. Great, looks as though, looks as though all of you can see that icon, which is fantastic. Okay, so let's get into it. So today we're going to be looking at goal setting. So I'm going to give you a really simple model to have the right conversations so that you can work with your clients to really understand their goals. So first of all, a question to you, and if you could use the chat box here, that'd be great. What is goal setting? Okay, so we've got goal setting creates focus, gives something for our clients to work on, targets to reach something, clarity and focus. Okay, some great responses. Setting objectives, Getting out of stuck mode. I like that. Thanks, Sue. So goal setting should be, for those of you who have clients, I think majority of the people on here are personal trainers, but even if you're not, even if you've just got clients, goal setting should be more than just a question that you ask at your first consultation. It should really be a tool that you use in every session to keep your clients really on track and really motivated. When you think about your clients, everyone's goals are really unique. So if you think about each of your clients and what their goals are, if you know them, you'll recognize that they're very different. Even if the majority of your clients' goals are to lose weight, they will all have different reasons, different triggers, and different ways of achieving their weight loss. So it's your role as a personal trainer, or whoever you may be with clients, to work with them physically to achieve their goals. But think about how powerful you'd be as a personal trainer or consultant if you were to really understand your clients' goals and have the tools to really hold them accountable for achieving them. So I actually went to a gym onboarding session a couple of weeks ago. And at the induction, I heard some pretty amazing statistics. So the most alarming to me was that only 10% of their members are achieving their goals. So in this particular gym, there's a member base of about 8,000. So that means about 800 of their members are achieving their goals, which 800 may sound okay, but it means that 7,200 are not achieving their goals. So every single member is going there for a reason. Everyone has a goal. Sometimes they just need some help to really dig deep and understand them a little better. So in this particular gym, there was only a small percentage of members that were using PTs as well. So as a personal trainer, you can really use these skills to tap into the remaining 90% to help you convert those clients that aren't yet clients. So I've just got a couple of questions that I'd like to pose to you. So again, if you could just respond in the chat box. So for those of you who are personal trainers, if you think about what you ask your clients at the moment with regards to goal setting, what type of questions would you ask in that initial consultation? What's your reason for seeing a personal trainer? Yep. What are you trying to achieve? Yep, we've got a few people coming in saying, what would you like to achieve? What are the time frames? How often do you see yourself coming to the gym? What type of equipment will you be using? What motivates you? How important is this to you? Okay, fantastic. So when you think about that, when you sit down and you start actually thinking about setting deeper goals, what is generally missing from the questions that you currently ask? Okay, we have time frames, clear objectives. Sometimes my clients don't know what they want to achieve. Okay, the missing link is the support. Right. Cool. Okay. So I've actually asked quite a few personal trainers lately whether they do actually understand their clients' goals. A lot of them on a very superficial level agree that they understand their clients' goals, but when I probe them more as to what they ask and what type of questions they ask, what type of responses they get, you see that the goals can be quite shallow a lot of the times, for want of a better word. So with regards to being able to really use the goals that they've set with the conversations that you have with them time and time again, it's really important that you understand and really get to the nitty gritty of what their goals about. So why do you think your clients need your help when it comes to goal setting? Why do we need to set goals? Why don't we just achieve them? Why is it important to be savvy on setting good goals? They don't know how? Yeah. Keeps them accountable. Yeah. Okay. Allows you to support them. They know that they're working towards something. Ensures they are moving in the right direction. Yep, ensures that they know what that direction is. Gets people out of their comfort zone. Fantastic. Okay, so it's because when we're working with goals, we're taking ourselves outside of our current comfort zone. So we need to plan them and we need to do things slightly different. So we need to work on them. We need to be comfortable in being uncomfortable. So for any of you that took part in our previous webinar, you'll recall that poor goal setting makes people cynical, it wastes their time, it fosters confusion about where to concentrate actions and energy. So good goal setting sets direction and focus. It provides clarity and purpose. So it takes us from thought to action. And when we go through the process of working with our clients, it gives them the space to really articulate what they want to get out of their training. So your clients really rely on you to assist them with clarity. As well as that, it gives them a partner, it makes them accountable so that they know if you're walking into the gym or if you're recognizing that they're not there. There's something really powerful in that. So let me give you some insight into goal setting. So there's just a few different types of goals that you may hear your clients talk about. I just want to talk you through each of these just briefly before we get into the model so you can recognize where your clients are coming from. So these are the 4 different types of goals that they might be coming up to you with. So first we've got distal and proximal goals. So distal goals refer to longer term goals and they can be broad and generally quite motherhood statements, and they're generally quite abstract and fuzzy. So proximal goals refer to shorter term goals and they can really stimulate more detailed planning. Then we have approach and avoidance goals. So an approach goal is something we want to move towards, where an avoidance goals are those that we want to avoid. So we may want to avoid having a heart attack or high cholesterol or whatever that may be, and that may be the motivation for somebody going to a gym. Next, we have higher order and lower order goals. So the higher order goals are those that are quite conceptual. You know, on a very high level, it might be something that's not really related to working out, but it might be, you know, world peace or something like that. Lower level goals are those that are more specific. It might be, again, taking it out of the fitness world, but it might be getting your tax done. And lastly, we have intrinsic and extrinsic goals. So these goals are really related to a person's motivation and where it comes from. So internal goals are those that are internal reasons to work on their capabilities of something. Like, I want to feel good about myself. Extrinsic goals are those that are an external reason to work on action. Like, I want to look after my family. The family is something that's external to them. So in working with clients, it is important to have just a brief understanding of these different types of goals so you can identify where they're coming from. So with your clients, you want to be able to move them into having specific ingredients. So in looking at these goals, if our clients are coming to us with something that's really distal, really broad and fuzzy, we want to go through the process of asking them questions so that we can kind of chunk that down for them for their goals to be more proximal. We want them to be approach goals rather than avoidance goals. So we want them to be working towards something. If they were saying, I don't want to have a heart attack, or I don't want to have a stroke, or whatever that may be, we want to be able to speak to them, and again, going through the model that I'm going to take you through, to see, okay, well, what are you approaching? What are your goals that will make you actually work towards your health? And it may be to lose weight, or it may be to have a fitness goal, but it's something that they're working towards rather than against. With regards to higher order and lower order goals, if they're coming from something that's, maybe it's a value of theirs or whatever that may be, again, we need to work with them to really chunk it down so that they're working in lower order goals. The lower order goals are, something that just make it a little bit more tangible for them to work with. And we want them to be intrinsic rather than extrinsic, because you can't control the outside world. You can control what's going on with them in their internal world. So if your clients are thinking in a different space, we really need to help them break their goals down so they can understand their mental framework and set some really solid goals. So you can reframe their goals or help them work towards this. So this is a little quote that I found from the Dalai Lama. People take different roads seeking fulfillment and happiness. Just because they're not on your road doesn't mean they've gotten lost. So this quote really captures the uniqueness of each of us. So we're all different and we all have different paths. So as a personal trainer or a consultant, it's really easy to try to work with your clients from your own take or perspective of life. So I'm urging you to try and find a space that's facilitating your clients' growth and trying to match what they're trying to achieve and trying to see it through their lens. So it is quite difficult to do, and it does take a bit of practice. But if you can harness it and you can practice it and you can do it, then your clients are going to feel more motivated, they're going to feel more valued, they're going to feel heard, and most importantly, they'll be getting really good results. So let's get into the model. So the model is called I Can Do It Smartly. And when you think of goal setting, I think what would probably stand out for most of you is the SMART element of it. So we do have that as part of it, but I'm just going to really break this down. So again, as I mentioned, this is a model that we put together at Thriving Minds. So it really works to do a few things. It really works to explore the client's goals. So it's asking questions that brings to surface from their world what their goals look like. It allows you to really understand your client's goals. And I think this is what is missing in most goal setting models, because we're generally working from our mindset. So here we feed our clients back to them to ensure that we have the right understanding on the right page. In this model, we ensure that the goal is complete. So checking in that all the right ingredients are there and all aspects have been covered. And it also looks at celebrating their goals. So this is really getting your clients excited about their goals and showing them that you're excited about supporting them on their journey. So I'm going to break down the model and weave through an example along the way. The example that I'll be leveraging, it's based on a real client I had earlier this year. And for the purpose of this webinar, her name can be Trudy. So Trudy came to me for coaching when she was embarking on New Year's resolutions. And her New Year's resolution was to lose weight. So she was really committed to losing weight, but that's all she knew she wanted to achieve. So she had a few sessions with me and started with a personal trainer at the same time. So I'm using this example because research shows, and I'm sure that all of your experience show, that weight loss is probably the most common reason why people go to the gym and why people have personal trainers. So I'm also using this as an example because at Thriving Minds we focus on personal trainers as well as weight loss companies. So it's an area that we know quite well. So let's break it down. So I'm going to go through the I can do, and then it, and then SMART, and then the why. So let's get into it. So the I can do. This is the part where we really explore the client's world, finding out what's important and asking a lot of very broad and open-ended questions to get them articulating their goals. So you'll notice with any goals you may have set for yourself that talking about them, verbalizing them, and having a solid sounding board and space to explore them helps to give you more clarity. So when I've worked with clients on goal setting, often you take them back to the basics and having this initial conversation, they might start all over the place talking about what they want to achieve in a very broad sense. And sometimes you can uncover that their goal can change to something more substantial than what they were initially setting out to achieve. So the I can do is the way that you uncover their goals. It's exploring their mindset, where they're at and where they want to go. So I like to think about this part of the model as more the coaching element. So if you think about when you brainstorm, if you brainstorm an idea, it's best if you start big and broad, get everything out on the table, whether it makes sense or not at the time. You just offload. So if you're offloading, you're just putting out everything that you're thinking about a particular topic. So it's important to note that during this part, you ask the question and then you zip it. So you be quiet. You really need to give them space to answer and actively listen to what they're saying. So it's a classic counselling technique to be comfortable with silence. So you want to let them come into the space without you needing to fill the space. So you are the expert here, and when they start talking, you probably have 100 responses to give to them. But to set really effective goals, it has to come from them, and they'll be grateful for the space and opportunity to explore it. So it's also important to note that you want to remain very neutral to what they're telling you. So it'll be natural for them when they start talking about their goals. They will try to seek approval or recognition from you. So that will come later in the model, but for this part of it, for the initial part, you want to ask the question, zip it, so be quiet and put your poker face on. So remain very neutral. So the I in the model is investigate. So investigate what's important. And you might find it might be weight loss, it might be fitness, it might be general health, whatever it might be, you want to investigate. So with my client Trudy, she said, what's important to me right now is losing weight, so I have more energy for my life. She said that she wasted a lot of time watching TV and thinking about fitness last year, and this year she wanted to take action. It was important to her that she has an active social life, and it's important for her to feel attractive. So then we come to C, so current. What's the current situation? So this is exploring where they're at the moment. So for Trudy, she said, I just joined the gym. She had her first personal training session the coming week. She was really busy at work, but wanted to make it a priority. Her social life is fantastic, but she often goes out binging on the weekends, and then she doesn't want to work out or she doesn't want to do exercise for a couple of days. I'm sure a few of us online can relate to that. Then we come to aim. So what are their goals? Where do they want to be? For Trudy, she said she wasn't sure what she weighed at that time, but she had it in her head that she wanted to lose 8 kilos by the end of the year. She just wanted to feel really great about herself. So N is number. So what are the different options available? And this is a really important part of the model because it explores all the avenues. And you can really use this information to recognise ways that they may not have thought about before. So as a personal trainer, you have more knowledge about this than your clients have. So this is where you'll use your knowledge to get them look at different options. So it might be different classes that they've tried, or of course it might be a specific program that you'd be able to offer them as a personal trainer, but you want them to come up with their different options. So they might say, I'm going to come to the gym twice a week. I might do a yoga class. And then you just say, what else? And be quiet. And what else? And what else? They'll bring to surface, so they might be able to go for a ride on their bike, or they might be able to walk to work instead of catching the bus, whatever it may be, but you really want to get them the space to offer out avenues that they maybe haven't thought about before. So for Trudy, she said that she's got her personal trainer once a week and she likes to do yoga. So then I probed in, what else? And she said, I could go for a run before or after work, I guess. Okay, what else? Then she thought about it a bit and she recognised that there was lots of other sessions at the gym that she could look into. And I just kept saying, how else, until it's absolutely exhausted. So you get the point, but what you've got to keep going until they have at least 5 different ways of reaching their goals. So the likelihood is that they won't use all these options, but it gets them to think about the endless avenues that are available to them to reach their goals and make them more achievable and accessible. So this is really valuable for you as a personal trainer too, because it can help you create the program that suits their interests. And if they start getting restless with the program, you know how to spice it up so that they don't become disheartened with their training. So the D is for date. What date will it be attained? When do they want to reach their goals? Holding clients accountable to timeframes is very important. So if you just have a goal with no end date, they won't push themselves to achieve it. Tomorrow is always an option. So you've got to get them really clear on dates. So for my friend Trudy, it was end of the year. And then the O. So the O is for outcome. What does the end result look like? How do they know when they would have reached their goals? So you want to explore with them what they'll be thinking, how they'll be feeling, how they'll be behaving. So this is where you get your clients to get a taste of what success would look like. How will it change their lives? Here you probe into all different areas of their life so they can really start to see that getting fit or losing weight or whatever it might be will have a really positive impact across all domains of their life. So for my client Trudy, she said, if I lose weight, if I lose 8 kilos by the end of the year, I'll look and feel fabulous. I'll have energy to live my life more fruitfully, and she'll feel great about her body and her mind. So that's the I can do part. Can I have a volunteer? What I want to do is just work through this model with one of you. You don't need to have a goal in mind. We can just make it up. It's just for the purposes of the exercise. So if you'd like to be a volunteer, put your hand up. Liz, was that you volunteering? You've got your hand up. Sure, okay. I'm going to take you off mute. Thanks, Liz. Hello?
Hi.
Hi, Liz. How are you?
Good, Kylie. How you going?
I'm very well, thank you. Okay, so Liz, thanks for being our volunteer. So let's say that
No worries.
I'm your personal trainer, and so this is our first session, and I've just asked you to come in 15 minutes early so we can have a chat and fill out the paperwork and get started.
Okay.
Okay. So you've come in, we do all the paperwork and what have you. And I would say to you, okay, Liz, what's important to you right now?
To lose weight.
To lose
Crazy.
weight. Okay. So what's the current situation for you?
Oh, drink too much, party a bit too much. Um, yeah, just never really consistent.
Okay. And what's the current situation for you with your exercise?
Oh, pretty, yeah, I mean, I do stuff like every day.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. Okay.
like
So,
you.
what are your aims?
Um, just to perhaps lose a little bit of weight, and just be more consistent.
Be more consistent. Okay. Lose weight and be more consistent.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the different options available?
In terms
So, what are the
of
different options available to you at the
like losing
moment to
weight.
lose weight? Yep.
Um, go running, go to the gym, do weights, do classes, spinning,
Mhm.
eat less,
Mhm.
you know, drink less,
Okay. Okay.
have less fun.
Okay. And you spoke about losing weight. Do you know what that looks like? So,
Yeah.
yep. So, how many kilos would you like to
If I can, 5 kilos.
5 kilos. Okay. And what date would you like that to be attained?
Um, in a month.
5 kilos in a
Pretty
month?
ambitious, but yeah.
So, what would the end result look like for you?
What would it look like? Just leaner, more trim, lighter, just comfortable.
Okay. Okay. How would you be feeling?
Um, Pretty like a lot more confident. Yeah, just more confident really than anything that I could think of. Just yeah.
Mhm.
What's the other word, like successful for having lost
Successful.
5 kilos? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Fantastic. Cool. Okay. Thanks, Liz. I'm going to put you back on mute.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So if you were in a real life situation, you would probe into it a little more, but you would ask the questions and then stop and wait for them to answer and exhaust their responses. And then ask really open questions to probe in further. Okay. So now we've gone through the I can do. So the I is for investigate, C is for current, A is for aim, N for number, D for date, O for outcome. So let's move on to the it part of it. So this is really the golden nugget of the model that will make a difference to your business. So it's just 2 letters and it will probably take about 2 minutes to do it, but it'd be very productive and very powerful. So the it bit, this is for you as a personal trainer to ensure that you've really understood your client's goals. So they've just spent time in you asking through the I can do questions and they're talking to you a lot, hopefully, and you'll be probing into them. So this is really clarifying your understanding and feeding them back their goals. So there's really significant power in hearing back what you've said. So if you recognize somebody saying your name once you've said your name and they say your name back to you, you get that kind of feeling of feeling really acknowledged. So this is in a greater scheme. So as I mentioned earlier, when we talk broadly about our goals, it can be a bit of a mess because we're still clarifying it within our own minds. But if someone who is listening puts it into a nice little package and gives it back to us, it's like a gift. It also shows that you've been paying attention to what they're saying. So the important thing here in the it is to talk. It's simple. Get them to listen to you so that you can pass it back to them. So the I, again, is for investigating. So, but this time it's investigating your understanding. So feed it back to them, and even if it sounds ridiculously repetitive because they've just told you, there is power in hearing someone else feed back to you what you've told them. So it's for you as a personal trainer to ensure that you're on the same page and you can articulate and also retain what they're saying to you. So you might use phrases here like, so from what I'm hearing you say, you want to lose weight so that you feel better. When you do that, you'll feel successful, and you want to do that within a month. So the T is for time. So we want to check in that their goals are realistic and attainable. So, and this, if we keep repeating about the time, it's seeding the commitment and really holding them accountable. So from what you've just said, you want to achieve this by a month. And it's important not to hold any judgment here. So timeframes may change, but you don't want to be the I told you so person if they don't achieve it. So you want to be on their side always. Okay, so now we get to the SMART aspect of the model. And just show me your hands if you have heard of the SMART acronym. Yeah, okay. So it looks like the majority of you have heard of the SMART acronym, which is fantastic. So this is a very, very popular concept when it comes to goal setting. So looking at SMART goals, it does make for a really nice rounded way to look at goals. So within this model, using the SMART acronym is a way to really check that the goal is complete. So we use it as a checklist. So you can either ask them to check the model with you by reiterating the goal in another way. So this may start seeming repetitive, but it is intentionally because you really want to drill it home. So the more repetitive you are with the goals, the more they own it, the more that they believe it, the more that they love it. Or you might just want to use this SMART acronym just as a little checklist in your own mind. So you want to check whether it's specific or stretch. So in the traditional SMART model, it is specific, so which is right, but you also want the goal to be a stretch goal. So you want your clients to be challenging themselves and set goals that are pushing them outside their comfort zone. M for measurable. So you need to be able to measure the goal so you can track progress. So weight is generally an easy thing to measure, but if their goal was to be fit or be healthier, you really need to put a lot more work into the I can do part of the model to ensure you can come up with something that's measurable. The A, we have attainable and attractive. So again, there's two A's here. In the traditional model, it is attainable. Does your client have the resources necessary to attain the goal? But also, is it attractive? You want it to be attractive because you want them to be excited by it. For the R, we have relevant and realistic. So is it relevant to the client's world? For example, if you have someone that says they want to lose weight and they're already at their optimal weight, then maybe focusing on weight loss may not be that relevant. If they have a lot of weight to lose and they choose something like 10 kilos within 2 weeks or something like that, then you need to check into whether it's realistic. And then for the T, we have time bound. So again, you need to check in that they have time frames to reach their goals. So you go through this checklist in your mind. If there's anything that's missing, probe into it with open questions. So you can do this by going back to the I can do and explore their world again. Or you could just put it away, have a conversation with them, and you can build on the information the next time that you speak with them. So if we go back to Trudy and the information we got from her situation, let's see if she has a SMART goal. So I'm going to repeat what she told me during the I Can Do, and just have a listen and see if you can check if she's got all the ingredients for a SMART goal. So Trudy told us that she wanted to lose 8 kilos by the end of the year. She'll do that with a personal training session once a week and a couple of yoga classes. And when she's achieved this, she'll be fantastic in her mind and body. Is this smart? If you don't think it's smart, what do you think's missing? If you could just type your responses in the chat, that'd be great. Okay, so we have some saying, yes, it is smart. She has time frames and realistic. Has she investigated options? Could put more of a stretch in there. Yeah. And I think a lot of information here is missing for Trudy as well. Like, without knowing what will stretch her, you need to be able, without knowing whether that's really attractive for her. Is it realistic? Probably. But there's a lot of other things that come into mind. So even though it may pass as a SMART goal, you could probably get it a lot tighter. So I'd like for each of you to take a pen and paper and let's have a go at writing ourselves a SMART goal. So think about something real or something that you're working on or want to work on and see if you can make it smart. So I actually used to run a lot of goal setting sessions in the corporate world when I was working in HR, and they are actually really difficult to write. So just take your time and just seeing if you can get a SMART goal. So I'll just give you a couple of minutes to do that. If anybody has a SMART goal and they feel comfortable sharing, let me know in the chat box. Okay, so we have a couple sharing through chat. So if you're not wanting to be taken off mute, if you do have a SMART goal, if you want to just type that through the chat. Okay, so we've got one here. Okay, so we have one wanting to run 10 kilometers. Sorry, just waiting for the rest of it to come through. Wants to run 10 kilometers within 3 months and lose 6 kilos. Okay, so if we've got that wanting to run 10 kilometers within 6 months and lose 6 kilos, is that smart? Okay, so it's specific. We can assume that it's a stretch. It's measurable, so we've got the 10 kilometers and the weight loss in there. Is it realistic for her? And again, we'd need to ask some questions around that. Yeah, within 3 months. Okay. Is it relevant and realistic? Could say yes. And is it time bound? Well, we've got the time bound for the 10 kilometers. We don't have the time bound for the weight loss. So you'll see if you go through and just check in with your mind, there's some of the probing questions that you might ask just to make sure that the goal is complete. Okay, thank you. Okay, so then to close the conversation, you bring in the RY. So this is really to make them really excited about their goal and it's being a cheerleader for your client. So it's really, giving them that support and giving them that validation that they're on the right track. So I like to call this the rah-rah. So we have the L, which is live it. So how awesome would they feel if they really did this? So a good way to do this would be to ask them on a scale of 1 to 10 how committed they are to achieving the goal. Hopefully they'll say 10 after you've gone through really delving into what their goals look like, getting them to really see what the outcomes will be for them. If they say anything less than that, you need to ask them what would make it a 10. Once they are at a 10, reinforce how amazing they will be when they've achieved their goal. And then the Y is for yes. So confirm their commitment to their goal and get the clients to say yes to their health and yes to their fitness goals. So after that, it's just all about repeat, 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 and repeat some more. So every time you see them, you should be talking to them about their goals. You don't have to go through the whole model every time you see them, but you might just focus on 1 or 2 elements. So here's the full model. So I'm just going to go through each of them just to hone in on each of the letters. So we've got I for investigate, C for current, A for aim, N for number, D for date, O for outcome. I for investigate, T for time. We have specific or stretch, measurable, attainable or attractive, relevant, realistic, T for time bound, L for live it, and Y for yes. So I'm actually going to email you each a copy of this model so that you can really use it with your clients moving forward. So a few things to remember when using this model is to really ask them a lot of questions at that very first session and then bring the goals into each and every session. When you're feeding it back to them and talking to them about their goals, see if you can use their language. Keep them on track and hold them accountable. It's one of the most powerful things that you can do as a personal trainer or a consultant. Continuously reassess their goals with them and be comfortable if they change. So just some final things to remember. So set goals which are short-term, so proximal. goals that they're approaching, lower order, and intrinsic. Emphasize improvements on the client's performance. So really notice things about them. Don't try to do too much too soon. So you might find when you start working with your clients on their goals, they tend to develop these really elaborate goals, and then they just become exhausting and self-defeating. Goals should be flexible. So goal setting is like an art, and it really takes time to perfect. So they require constant evaluation and refine it. If you can get your clients to write down their goals and keep them somewhere handy, then they'll probably look at them more. You know, you might suggest that they have them on their computer screen at work or a mirror at home. Confidence is really the key. So you need to be constantly checking in how they're feeling about their goals and giving them the confidence to keep going. So I hope you've enjoyed the model. So I've certainly enjoyed doing the webinar. As I said, I'm going to email you each a copy of the model to use. So it'd be really great. I've got my email address on this next slide. It'd be really great to hear from you with any feedback if you do start using the model. And we've got a special offer that we'd like to put out for you. So, you know, again, if you don't want to take this up, that's absolutely fine. Really want to thank you for your time. But if you're wanting to take it up, we wanted to thank you for your time and participation and offer you a coaching package. So we're offering tonight 50% off 3 coaching sessions. So that'll be $90 per session. So we can work with you one-on-one to really diagnose your personal training business, to set your unique point in the market. We can work with you to identify your strengths and identify areas for you to ultimately earn more money. So thanks again for your time. I am actually going to stay online for a couple of minutes in case any of you have any questions. But thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed it and take care.